Hello and welcome to Spiritual Sunday. Today we'll be exploring the topic of acceptance. As I mentioned in our chat last week on abundance, the sessions are based on my book Spiritual Quest. However, you don't need the book for these sessions, but if you feel inspired to check it out, then please do so. Acceptance is one of the most empowering things we can do. Even though in itself it may appear as the opposite, as part of its acceptance is relinquishing control, which can sometimes feel disempowering, but through acceptance we come to realize that control is not something we really have anyway. Acceptance can also be difficult to do as our minds have a tendency to want to battle with it. It wants to be able to hang on to things. So to come to a place of acceptance, we need to transcend the mind and move into a spiritual grace, if you like, through which we can see things from a higher perspective. I shall begin by presenting what usually precedes acceptance, and that is when we find ourselves battling with circumstances that were out of our control or occurred perhaps through choices made, and we find ourselves hashing over the past and judging ourselves harshly. We can also find ourselves clinging to the way things should be or could have been if certain things did or didn't happen. However, thinking of things in these ways is disempowering and does nothing to alter what is or what has been. For example, when I lost my son, I could not even contemplate coming to a place of acceptance. My broken heart ached so much that I could not see past my internal turmoil, let alone accepting that he would no longer be a living presence in my life, not a physically living presence anyway. However, I found that the only way I could find solace was through acceptance. I battled and agonized over this, but my soul continued to guide me in ways that helped settle me into the comforting arms of acceptance. Of course, I still have moments where I weep and wonder how I can stand another moment without him here, but I have found that these moments pass more readily and I'm able to anchor myself and the stabilizing energy of accepting his passing, and I'm able to move through the grief of these moments more easily. And so when I speak of acceptance, I speak with deep understanding of how difficult it can be and of how much resistance there can be. And I can also speak from experience of how freeing it is when we are able to arrive at a place of acceptance. I had to accept that what happened was totally out of my control, that we each have a soul, purpose and contract, and when it is our time to return home, then it is our time. But I will broaden this into acceptance that requires us to find, or acceptance helps us find inner peace with circumstances of the past that are affecting our present. And just to note, acceptance is not being submissive or tolerating certain behavior. It is accepting what has been. And while we can't change what has happened, we can change how we move forward. It is accepting that although we may find ourselves in circumstances that we would prefer not to be in, we accept that we can also change those circumstances. It is also accepting that this may not be easy, but it is doable. Let us reflect for a moment on accepting what has been done, on the concept of what has been done has been done. It really is the only way, and there is no way of undoing it. That would be like trying to push the river in the opposite direction to which it flows. Instead, through acceptance, we flow with the river. Sometimes, as we know, the river has rapids. It sometimes has to flow over rocks and often boulders. Sometimes it flows smoothly in a straight line, and then suddenly it may take a sharp turn around a bend. But it doesn't stop, it keeps going, accepting every part of its journey, for it knows that it will flow and become one with the expansiveness of the ocean, just as our soul is one with the expansiveness of the universe. And we can let our experiences shape us in likeness of this expansiveness, which is to grow through them, or we can become limited by them. This is not said incompassionately. I have deep compassion for what some people have suffered. And it is that compassion that I share when I speak about acceptance, as I know it will set you free. Accepting what has happened helps the emotional aspects that are attached loosen their grip. As the emotions loosen their grip and begin to let go, we find ourselves more able to move into a space of acceptance. And this is to let go of whatever ties us to the experience or an event, a set of circumstances or a situation. Letting go gives us the freedom to take back our power and cease feeding our valuable energy into the past or current situations that are not serving us. So letting go is not about forgetting or not caring, but about releasing the associated inner conflict. Any form of inner turmoil prevents us from finding inner peace. And through our experiences, we develop aspects that are attached to the events and circumstances, and these aspects affect our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions. But this is not a true reflection of the truth. These aspects are not a true reflection of the truth of who we are. And these aspects that contribute to, a assumed identity. Some we know and some we are yet to be unveiled. The way to get to know is to explore the inner realms of self. And to do this requires one to be accepting of any aspect that surfaces. Because when we deny any aspect of self, that distances us from getting to know who we really are, or what that experience was about, the lesson, how we can learn through it. And denied aspects don't disappear because we refuse to acknowledge them. They lurk as shadows that negatively influence how we think and feel. These aspects they have unfulfilled needs and they crave attention. So identifying and uncovering the needs, and that is very important, and it does require some investigation so that we can derive understanding. And reflecting upon experiences allows us to establish how we experience, what the experience was, the interpretation and the thoughts and the feelings and the actions that emerge from them. And this insight provides us with the opportunity to see the emotional connections and how these emotions trigger our behavior or our actions in currently. So rather than focusing on the behavior, we begin to see the reasons for our reactions or our responses. So acknowledging ourselves in this way enables us to understand and empathize with why we do the things we do. This facilitates self-acceptance. And being at peace within oneself is to accept all aspects of self, and then to realize that these aspects are not the truth of who we are, but what we are experiencing as a soul having a human experience. However, part of that experience is to identify what is at the core of each aspect so we can assimilate it into the whole, and that is part of our soul's evolution. Self-acceptance also helps us to accept others, as we can see how each one of us responds to emotional triggers. This does not mean that we have to accept certain types of behavior, but it does allow us to accept why people do the things that they do. The behavior and actions of ourselves and others represents the inner workings of thoughts and emotional states. And this lessens feelings of personally directed behavior and instead focuses on what we can learn from each other and from experiencing different aspects of life. If something causes us sadness, for instance, we can feel what it is like to be touched by compassion. If we suffer loss, we can know what it is like to grieve. If we undergo hardship, we learn how to be resilient. Why we can have empathy for what others have experienced, it is when we experience things for ourselves that we gain true comprehension. We learn and grow and evolve. And accepting this as part of life, of us being souls in human bodies, and being aware of what manifests on an emotional and physical level enables us to deal with the outcomes of our experiences more effectively. So looking at the bigger picture of what life presents awakens us to how and what we learn through life. When we do a check of emotions attached to past or current experiences, it's important to sit with them and derive meaning. Often we try and run away from our emotions, but if we sit with them, we give them space and time to actually really connect with us so we can derive understanding. And our experiences are interpreted through our emotions, thus the importance of gaining insight and attending to what we are feeling when we feel it. If we do not process the emotional connection to the experience, we risk distorting our perspective and stealing from ourselves something of value. So finding the lesson of the experience facilitates wisdom. Through wisdom, we can make choices, future choices, aligned with what's in our best interest. This is how we steer ourselves forward in positive ways. And acceptance is not admitting defeat or being disempowered. It is finding peace with what we cannot change and choosing to focus on areas we can. Acceptance leads to forgiveness, in which we are able to forgive those who have caused discomfort and conflict in our lives. Again, this does not mean that we condone certain behavior or the actions of others, but rather heal the wound so as not to have emotional connection and carry it forward into our present life and into the future. When we forgive, we must include ourselves, as often we feel blame or shame or guilt for things that have happened in the past, and often when we didn't have any control over the situation. So through forgiveness and the dissolving of the heavy emotions such as blame, shame and guilt, we can arrive at self-acceptance. And self-acceptance is to embrace those aspects that are in conflict. And this enables us to make choices that are aligned with what we want for ourselves now and the future. Acceptance is the healing code that empathizes with individual aspects of ourselves and enables them to find solace. And as I said before, that is how we assimilate those aspects into the whole. And once achieved, these aspects no longer thirst for attention and will soften and become one, as we just said. So moving from the physical, mental, emotional aspects of an experience is how the experience has assisted growth, is to see from a spiritual perspective. I am not saying that it is easy, as some of what has been experienced is nothing other than harrowing. Losing my son was absolutely horrific, and I couldn't see spirit from any spiritual perspective. In fact, I lost all faith. But over time, and I had support of a bereavement counsellor and family, and I've written a book on how to live with grief. I found a way to live with grief, and I've been able to derive spiritual understanding and have come to a place of acceptance, as I've said. And yes, I still miss him terribly, but I also come to see the significant spiritual growth and understanding and awareness that has come with it. In fact, my emotions were in absolute turmoil. I didn't know what to do with myself, but from there I was guided, or more likely accurately pushed, to pick up my metaphysical studies again. And even at the time I didn't want to, I resisted, and I didn't know how I was even finding the energy or capacity to study. I somehow, to my amazement, completed my bachelor's degree in metaphysics in the time that I was the lowest I've ever been in my life. And I know it was the hand of the divine that was guiding me so I can share my experience with others, and by doing so help others live with grief. So every experience has a pearl lying at its core. Losing my son was heart-shattering, and of course I would do anything to reverse it. But as I cannot do that, I have to find the pearl. If I didn't, I would have allowed the grief to swallow me, and I would have become the miserable, resentful, bitter, guilt-laden person that I felt myself becoming. But instead I chose to step into the light of the universe and reflect on how qualities such as empathy, compassion, and understanding have become stronger within me. It is this that my son would want me to embrace and share. If you have had experiences that are casting a shadow over you, then acknowledge what it is and attend to it, and find the pearl at the core of the experience. As I've mentioned, this may not be easy, but when the pearl of an experience is uncovered, then the shadows begin to dissolve. The experience itself does not change, but the emotional connection can. So trying to resolve the whys and the what ifs of an experience becomes a battle that cannot be won. But acceptance is to move forward with grace. So we shall now move gracefully into the guided journey of acceptance. So when you're ready, settle into a comfortable position and gently close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Draw the breath down into your belly, and then exhale out through your mouth. And take another deep breath in through your nose. Draw the breath down into your belly, and then exhale out through your mouth. And again, taking a deep breath in through your nose. Draw the breath down into your belly, and then exhale out through your mouth. And just allowing your breathing to return to its natural rhythm now. And as it does, feel your body relax as you enter further into this guided journey. Bring your attention to the present moment and notice the sensations in your body. Just observe without judgment. Also observe your feelings and thoughts without attaching to them. Just allow them to float by like clouds. This is the journey of life you are embarking on right now. And on this journey you will experience many things. An experience may be an event that occurs or circumstances that you find yourself faced with. And as you do right now, step onto the path of life and begin to walk. This path has many signposts that are relevant to your life so far. You casually observe without being attached to anything in particular. As you walk, you notice that up ahead is a letterbox with a number on it. You keep walking until you arrive at the letterbox. Take notice of the number. The number has symbolic meaning. Number 1, the spark of awareness, unity and oneness. Accept yourself for who you are, a unique divine spark of the universe. Number 2, duality and balance, embracing the opposites. Accept the duality within yourself. Everything has opposing forces. This creates balance. This includes examples such as yin and yang, light and shadow, masculine and feminine. Accept flaws as well as strengths. Number 3, creativity and expression. This is authentic self-expression. You have unique gifts and talents to share. 3 is the trinity of mind, body and soul, and the importance of harmonizing this union. This facilitates self-acceptance. Number 4, stability and grounding. The 4 elements, earth, fire, water, air, and how applying these elements to our inner selves brings deeper understanding of self. Number 5, change and transformation. Embracing the flow. Accept the unpredictable nature of life. Let go and trust. Number 6, harmony and responsibility. Accepting your role in the world. Accepting your role as part of a larger ecosystem and the importance of how restoring balance to self aids in restoring balance for all. Number 7, introspection and spirituality. Leads to inner wisdom. Listen to your intuition so you may better understand the mysteries of life and accept and trust spiritual guidance. Number 8, abundance and manifestation. Accepting blessings and accept that you are worthy of love, peace, joy and success. Embrace your inherent worth. Number 9, completion and integration. Universal love, the integration of what has been learned in a previous cycle and stepping forward into a new cycle with more knowledge and greater purpose. Number 10, new beginnings. Accept the ending of the cycle or chapter and the opening of something new. Step forth with confidence and optimism of the potential contained within the new. Now open the letterbox and see a gift with your name on it. You unwrap the gift and find inside is an emotion that is attached to an experience that has or is causing conflict within you. You are just observing without judgment. You notice that there is also a letter with your name on it in the letterbox. You take out the letter and open it. A message is written in your handwriting. It is a message that helps resolve the inner conflict. This may be a word, a symbol, a sentence, or something that shines a light on how to resolve the conflict within yourself so you may accept what has been and make room for the way forward. If you require clarity, ask your higher self. It sees from higher perspective and can provide insight that helps gain understanding and clarity. It is through meditation that we connect with our soul, through which we gain access to the wisdom of our higher self. Notice any thoughts or feelings that may arise. And finish by wrapping yourself in a blanket of compassionate self-acceptance. It is time to return to the present now, bringing with you any insights that you may have received. Take a gentle breath in through your nose and then gently exhale out through your mouth. Find gentle movement in your body. You may like to wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes. And when you are ready, slowly open your eyes. I hope you enjoyed your guided journey. Just take a moment to jot down any insights you received in your journal. And if you are having difficulty accepting something that has had significant impact on your life, explore the resistance. Notice sensations that arise in your body and notice any tension, tightness, or discomfort and where it's located. I am thinking of putting together a series that will explore the mind-body-soul connection that will be based on a beautiful woman, Christiane Violant's work. My aim is to bring more awareness to how elements of the body communicate vital information needed for healing. So when you become aware of resistance, imagine surrounding it with love, golden light, and affirm to yourself, I acknowledge what I am feeling. I accept this as part of my present reality. I accept that I am resolving this within myself. And then share compassion with yourself by wrapping yourself in kindness. You might like to wrap your arms around yourself and give yourself a nice big hug. And as you do, imagine the tension of that resistance dissolving. And allow yourself to feel peace by taking a few calming breaths. And so, with that, we shall bring this Spiritual Sunday session to a close. Next week, our topic that we'll be exploring is balance. So thank you for joining me here with much love and blessings. Bye for now.